Welcome to Somerset Overtime, a show about Somerset sports. Today we are going to be talking to Somerset Berkley Regional High School wrestling coach Quinn Fallon about the past season. And Quinn, this is the second year of restarting the wrestling program at the high school, and you made some more progress this year.
We did. Thanks for having me on, George. I appreciate it. We just wrapped up a great year, 15-8 as an overall team record, which is an improvement. Last year, we were 7-5 with a much smaller schedule due to it being our first year. But we, like I said, 15-8 dual meet record. We had 6 sectional placers and 2 state placers. So very pleased and proud of the kids this year.
So why don't you tell me about some of those placers?
Yep, so we had 6 sectional placers this year at the Division II South tournament. 2 second place finishers. James Phoenix, the 150-pound weight class, took second. We had Owen Pavo at the 190-pound weight class. He finished second, who's a sophomore. And finishing in third place was Alex Javier, the 126-pound weight class, also a sophomore. Finishing in fourth place was Adrian Borges, the 106-pound weight class, also a sophomore as well. Finishing in fifth place was Aiden Griffin, the 144-pound weight class, also a sophomore. And then finishing in sixth place was Charlie Meadis at heavyweight, who's also a sophomore. So pretty good showing for us. And I was very proud of the way they wrestled. It's a tough tournament. A lot of tough teams competing in that. So.
And a lot of these kids just started wrestling last year, too. So for them to finish so high this year is...
Yeah, the majority of them, actually almost all of them are 2-year wrestlers. So just to go out there and to compete against kids who have been doing it a lot longer than you, it's tough. And it's a testament to them working hard all off-season in between the 2 tournaments and really putting in the time.
And so it sounds like you also have some guys that are going to be with you for a few years, so they'll be getting even better over there in their junior and senior years.
Definitely. We so there's 14 varsity weight classes, and we, throughout the majority of the season, 10 of the 14 were filled with sophomores for us. So we definitely have a young core. With that being said, we had a great group of leaders in our senior class this year, but looking forward to the next 2 seasons with that sophomore group. Hopefully, they can keep up the hard work and continue to improve.
So in the off season, I know you mentioned Javier and how much work he put in last summer. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So he was probably our most dedicated. Wrestling is his only sport he plays at the high school, so he went after it full force. He joined Iron Faith Wrestling, which competes out of Bristol and Warwick. They have 2 clubs there, and he traveled all over New England, going to different tournaments on their dual meet team. And from where he was when he left me February of 2022 to where he came in December of 2023, it was awesome. So he put in the work and it paid off. He placed at states this year, and I know he has some high goals for the next season. So
he sounds like a kid who really likes the sport.
He definitely does. I think I joke with him. I say he caught the wrestling bug because he puts in the time. He dedicates himself all off season, 5-6 nights a week, and that's what you need to do to close that gap between wrestlers who have been in the sport since they were 5-6 years old. If you're going to start the sport as a freshman, you really got to be dedicated to it, and it can be done. Like I said, he's a testament to that, and I think it's just that much sweeter to beat a kid that's been on the wrestling mat since they were young, and you just started. So I'm proud of him.
It's kind of a natural at it, maybe.
Yep.
So what are some of the things the kids will be doing this summer?
So we have kids involved in a couple of different clubs in the area. There's a couple different tournaments, local, and some, that they travel to Vermont, New York, A couple kids went down to Virginia Beach for nationals. So it's good. Any mat time and any extra matches you can get in throughout this 9-month off season, it's just going to pay dividends going into December next year. So I definitely push it on these kids. And the kids that have lofty goals, they know what they have to do to achieve them. So
Will some of the kids be competing in the Bay State games?
yeah, we had usually that's in late June, early July. We had 5 or 6 kids compete last year. I'm sure more kids will sign up this upcoming season. That's a great one. It's usually in Lowell, I believe. But it's, like I said, anytime they can sign up for these tournaments, it's going to help them so much come the start of the season. Because it's kind of one of those sports where if you don't use it, you lose it. So it's tough to step off the mat in February and then come back on come the end of November and pick up right back where you left off. So, like I said, I'm definitely trying to help the kids, sending them different flyers when I see them come across, my computer. But it's...
Do they do a lot of weightlifting in the off season? Is that one of the things?
They do, yeah. That's a great help and something that they should definitely focus on throughout this 9-month off season. I go to the weight room a couple times a week at the high school and try and volunteer my time there to help them out. But it's huge, yeah. Weightlifting and then getting the mat time in. Yeah. It's the two things we stress. We have an end of season meeting with every kid individually at the end of the season. So, we talk about their goals and, how as a coaching staff we think they're going to be able to reach them. So,
nutrition's a big thing too, right? Eating right.
It is, yeah. So, kids are at certain weight classes this year, and they kind of got to prepare ahead to this upcoming season as to where they want to be, where they want to fit in on the lineup. But me personally, I think that I'd rather them just wrestle and they come in where they come in. I think sometimes trying to position yourself like that too much, it can almost hurt them mentally, trying to stay at a certain weight class year round or, think about our lineup as to where they're going to fit in. So we worry about that. I worry about that come December, but I guess it's something they should definitely keep in the back of their mind a little bit.
So, they're growing too, right? So they can
definitely
end up in a different weight class.
Yep, so that MIAA, they, even throughout the regular season, they have a growth allowance. So the weight class you wrestle at the beginning of the season, it does go up a little bit after you hit January 1st. So there's regulations in place to help them stay healthy.
So you recently had an awards banquet. Can you tell me who received some of these awards and maybe say something about each wrestler that you gave an award to?
Definitely. So our first award we gave out was to the Rookie of the Year, and that was to S.B.R.H.S. He wrestled at 106 pounds for us this year as a sophomore. So that is the lowest weight class that we have on varsity, and instantly found success his first year in the sport. He battled some injuries, and when he came back at the end of the year, he ended up placing 4th at the sectional tournament, qualifying for states, which is a huge accomplishment as a first-year wrestler. He had a great tournament, so I was proud of him for that. And like I said, just battling through the whole season as a first-year wrestler on varsity, it was great to see, and great to see him improve as we got towards the end of the season. So he was our Rookie of the Year recipient. Our second award was the Sportsmanship Award, which went to Asante Sanders, a senior on our team. And he was kind of like a utility in the utility role for us this year. He would weigh in every meet at 190 pounds, but sometimes we would wrestle him at 190. Sometimes we'd wrestle him at 215, as needed. And most kids going into their senior year, they could get discouraged by a role like that, but he took it on with a smile on his face, worked hard day in and day out, and was really just a great role model to our younger core. And I know a lot of kids looked up to him, so he was great. He was somebody I never had to worry about. I know he would always do the right thing. So for that, he received the Sportsmanship Award. Our next award was the Coaches Award, and that went to Aiden Sylvia, who's also a senior on our team. He wrestled varsity at the 175-pound weight class, and he was one of those, he was the last guy out of the wrestling room at the end of practice. He always asked questions. He came out for the sport as a senior, which can be daunting in itself, and he was able to make varsity and, took it in stride, tried to get as good as he could get in those 3 months. It was a huge help for us. He had above 500 record, and like I said, was just someone I'm glad he came out for the sport. I wish he would have started earlier, and I could have had him for a couple more years because he had so much potential. But for that, he was awarded the Coaches Award by my staff. Our next award was our Most Improved, and that went to Alex Javier. So Alex is a sophomore this past season. He wrestled for us the year prior, and I think he didn't make the varsity lineup till about halfway through the season, and he had a 9-8 record, which is good, above 500. And like I said, we've talked about him already. He dedicated his whole next 9 months to the sport, and this year he finished with a 34-12 record. So immensely improved, and he's one of the hardest workers in the room. He wrestles at the 126-pound weight class, and he's always helping the kids around his weight with certain techniques that he's good at. He's like an extra coach in the room. So
going to be expecting big things from him over the next couple of years.
Definitely. He just had a great season, and he was awarded our Most Improved Wrestler. And our last award was the MVP award, which went to James Phoenix. And he, a senior for us, senior captain. He wrestled at the 150-pound weight class. And, had a good season as a junior, and following that up, had an even better season this year. Ultimately, he qualified for the All-State tournament, which is huge. I'd venture to say he was the only 2-year wrestler that qualified for that tournament. It's a tough tournament. He took 7th in the Division II state tournament for us, and in his short 2-year career, his overall record was 51-20. So just phenomenal. Again, I wish he would have started younger. I wish I could have had him for 4 years because he had so much potential, but with just 2 short seasons, he still was able to do great things. So,
you think playing football helped him a lot?
Definitely, yeah. He played football his whole life. He was one of a Pop Warner kid, and it definitely translates. He was a tough kid, a strong kid, and I think, to be honest with you, wrestling was his sport. I'm glad he was able to find it and come out for the sport and be a part of this team the past 2 years. So it's definitely a big hole losing him for this upcoming season. But
you're an assistant coach for the football team. Maybe you can grab another one of those guys.
That's the hope. So yeah, those were our 5 team awards given out at the banquet, and I wish I could give everyone an award. We had a lot of talented kids, a lot of kids that made huge strides throughout the 3-month season, but those stood out to me and the rest of my staff.
So you've had the program for 2 years now. Do you think that's created a lot of more interest in it as people have seen what it's about now?
It has, definitely, and
So hopefully it's here to stay.
I would think so. I think, the first year we had a lot of kids sign up just to try it. They had no idea what it was. I think now people have been to our meets, people know what it is, and the kids that sign up want to be there now, and it's not their first time experiencing the sport. A story I always tell is the very first season, we were about halfway through the very first practice, and a kid asked, when we were getting our capes, because he thought it was like WWE.
Oh my.
So I think kids know what to expect now. They know what they're getting into, and it's great for the program. And hopefully our feeder program and the youth team start helping out as well, and good things to come.
Yeah, it's much different than professional wrestling.
It is.
And that is, I had a bunch of stories that we did with Bob Raganisi about the youth program. That program seems to be really thriving too, so that
Definitely. Yeah, it's it seems like in the coming years, we should definitely get some strong kids into our program, which will be a huge help. And besides that fact, just having more kids in town know about wrestling, and maybe they have a friend on the team or a relative, but they come to high school with an understanding of what the sport is, and it's great. There's certain kids that I've coached throughout the past 2 years that I know it's made a huge impact on their life, so I'm glad we have the sport back in town.
Yeah, it teaches a lot about discipline and
yeah, it's life lessons that they should carry with them the rest of their life. So,
is wrestling a summer Olympic sport or a winter Olympic sport? I can't remember.
I believe it's summer.
Because the Summer Olympics are this summer in France, so they could watch it on TV too.
Yep, for sure. And as we talked about earlier, I know NCAA tournament was on ESPN this year. We had a lot of kids watching that, and it's good. I think the sport is growing, and I'm excited to see where it gets to in the next couple of years. They are definitely modeling the high school sport of wrestling a little bit more towards college by changing the rules and kind of making them a little bit more similar, and it should be good for the sport. And we actually took the team at the beginning of the year to Johnson, Wales to watch a college wrestling match. So just to show the kids, that you can continue to do the sport after high school. So.
And we also have someone from Somerset who is a good college wrestler. I know you had him speak to your team during this past year.
I did. Austin Cooley. His father is on my staff. He's one of my assistant coaches, and he wrestled at West Virginia and at 197-pound weight class. Had a great season. He got an injury, I think, right before he went to his tournament, so he didn't qualify for the NCAA tournament. But just someone that born and raised in this town and got to the highest level in the sport possible, and I think a lot of our kids look up to him. They went and followed him on Instagram, and it's good to have him come back into the room, give back, and I know our kids enjoyed it, and I really appreciated him coming in and giving us some of his time.
Yeah, it's something to aspire to for your wrestlers.
Definitely.
Okay, that's all my questions. So thank you for coming in, and hopefully you'll continue the progress next year with the wrestling program.
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
And thank you for tuning in to Somerset Overtime.